Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. A suspected espionage case at NATO's most important military headquarters has put Allied security under fresh scrutiny. Belgian authorities have arrested an intern from Canada at NATO's SHAPE military headquarters in Mons on suspicion of spying for an undisclosed foreign country. But investigators have not identified the alleged sponsoring state or revealed what information, if any, may have been compromised. And joining us now to unpack the broader security implications is Sergei Erofeev, sociologist at Rutgers University. Good to have you back with us.
Hello.
So perhaps not a surprise, but still, I mean, in this day of hybrid threats, how significant is this kind of breach? I mean, we don't have that much information who was involved quite yet, but how significant is all this on the first reading?
Yes, we should remember that we are analyzing such events and such phenomena within a broader framework of Putin's hybrid warfare, which is contextualized in turn in a broader democratic backsliding all around the world and the suspected coalition with China, another authoritarian regime which has its interests in disrupting Western stability and getting to Western military and technological secrets. So one detail in the recent news is that the Canadian national is of Chinese origin. A warning should be made that it does not necessarily mean that that person serves the interests of China as a major authoritarian power in the world. But what it can mean that such incidents can play into the hands of Mr. Putin, who is the major threat, practical, immediate threat to Western democracies. Even if he did not orchestrate that, still we are living in the world of hybrid warfare. And this hybrid warfare for Mr. Putin involves espionage, sabotage, which is not a very unusual thing, especially in Europe, and various kinds of operations of influence. But the most important front for Mr. Putin, where he has been the most successful, is impression management. So these incidents can contribute to his game of impression management that the West is vulnerable and that he is powerful, that he has very important, powerful partners. So in general, within this broader framework, this is an important incident. This, of course, reminds what happened in the same country of Belgium last October when a Belgian national, Belgian police officer was charged with possible espionage in favor of Russia in that case. So there is a certain continuity of phenomena which we are facing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as of yet, we don't know exactly what that foreign country was. I mean, we know certain culprits, as you've already now alluded to, Russia, but also China. But I just want to ask you, maybe in terms of the kind of goals that these countries may have. I mean, Russia very much, as you said, uses every lever it can to disrupt, immediate disruption in terms of intelligence and also various levers of society. Now, the Chinese, if they were to be implicated, are they after the same sort of thing? I mean, I remember certain cases, even in the United States, where they're after certain types of technology. So are they ultimately the same kind of goals in terms of how these countries look to disrupt and gain intelligence?
Well, first of all, there's no doubt that China and Russia have situational overlapping interests. But we should distinguish between the two powers. In terms of social, political, and economic power, there is no comparison between Russia and China. China definitely is playing the upper hand in any Russia-China interactions. On the other hand, Russia is the #1 military threat to the world because it's the only other nuclear power apart from the United States, which is capable of destroying the world. And this has been a major factor in Putin's successful management, impression management game. That's how he persuaded the West, starting with Biden in February 2022, not to react resolutely, only to an extent, in order for Ukraine to survive, but not to defeat Putin's regime. That I consider to be very dangerous. And of course, Russia has different interests from China. China is basically interested in world rule-based order. They are similar to the United States in many ways, trying to protect and create and expand markets, including the European market. But Russia is not interested in economic expansion or gains. I would even doubt that Russia has serious intentions to steal military and technological secrets from the West, because Russia is not capable of implementing those secrets, put them under mass production, etc. The situation with Russian research and development is such that it's not going to help Putin's successful warfare. And if there is any intentional attempt at espionage on the part of the Kremlin, let's say, then I would assume that it's largely part of Putin's impression management game, rather than trying to contribute to the kinetic success in the battlefield in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I want to return back to this one incident in Belgium and Mons, just for our viewers as well. I mean, this is the headquarters of SHAPE, so Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe. So basically the military top of what NATO is. We have Brussels HQ, which is more operations. So, but in terms of this sort of junior level person, the kind of access that an intern can get, I mean, how dangerous is that? I mean, I imagine this is perhaps routines or certain directories, but what can someone do with that kind of information potentially?
I would like to make a historical reference here. In the interests of impression management, in order to benefit from false information and influence, it is sometimes important to blow things out of proportion. So the historical reference is as follows. It's been believed by even the respected historians, professors of history in the West, that before the breaking out of the Soviet-German war in June 2022, Stalin had wonderful, fantastic, masterful, skillful spies all over Germany, including the highest ranks. The reality, which was revealed by archival research in the 1990s, shows that the maximum penetration to the secrets of Nazi Germany for Stalin was just a minor officer in Luftwaffe. So Stalin never got to the major secrets of Barbarossa plan. So Putin has been defeated significantly at the beginning of this war against Ukraine, when many intelligence officers assigned to diplomatic missions were expelled from Europe. So Putin now has to act asymmetrically and hire minor officials and thugs in order to disrupt anything he can disrupt in Europe. So I don't think that this in turn can be a major asset for the Kremlin, but it is an asset in the ways I described. Anything that can point a vulnerability of the NATO headquarters and the West in general placed into Putin's hands. But this can be interpreted also in another way. It's to the credit of the Belgian authorities and NATO that they were able to use the internal surveillance, internal control procedures in order to detect an issue before it's too late. Mm-hmm. So it's also to their credit.
Okay, fair enough. And I think also you mentioned a key word there, vulnerability. Let's talk about that for a moment, because you said, I mean, with this particular case, you mentioned also another one in Belgium of a Belgian national. I'm reminded of something in Germany as well, not that long ago, of certain people working in high levels of government and defense who were passing secrets to the Russians. In July, in Italy, I think 2 Italian citizens working for their own national intelligence services were also arrested on spying charges. So how vulnerable then, if we pan out for a minute in Europe and NATO, how vulnerable are these kind of facilities? Are intelligence services is enough, I suppose people wonder, being done to vet, to secure, or will this always be a potential threat?
Well, we need a special expert in this field, but from the sociological perspective, we can say that vulnerability has a larger framework. That's what is very, very important. We don't know exactly what kind of asset, what kind of capability those people represent who are part of the inner circle of the Western security structures. We can suppose that the level of corruption there generally is very minimal, and where the vulnerability lies is those people who are in between, who are in some weak position. They can easily give in to some money promise or something else, or just seek adventure. People are people. They vary. They have different characters, and potentially authoritarian states can try and play with them. But for that, they need a lot of resources. So I doubt that Putin has that much resources to organize a very developed network of people who are vulnerable individually in order to cause major damage to the Western democratic world.
Mm-hmm. I want to tap into a little bit of your own experience. I mean, as a sociologist, you kind of already touched on it a little bit, but I'm curious if we can. I mean, are there certain types of, let's say, early signs or motivations for some of these people who do end up being exactly that, these vulnerabilities that are then exploited by foreign governments? Is there something in that personality, something that motivates? Have you seen any kind of patterns in your experience or studies?
Well, it's a very typical. There's nothing new that the Russian case contributes to our understanding. These are the people who are not rooted in the Western economic world. They don't have a steady job. They can be really frustrated. This would be a good moment for some Russian intelligence officer who is still somewhere there in the Western Russian diplomatic missions to try and approach these people. But the modern world is so complicated, it's so complex that these operations, I think, are very minor compared to the major information warfare that Putin has waged against the West, really persuading the Western people that he is a real politician, a real leader of a nation, and they should consider his interests. That should be removed. This kind of obstacle should be removed.
All right, so I think the operative word again is vigilance in many ways, as a vulnerability unfortunately does remain with us. But look, thanks so much for all that. Always a pleasure having you with us, Sergei Erofeev there from Rutgers University.
Thank you, Sasha. Bye.
And thank you for watching World Talks, but do stay right here on TVP World throughout the day for more news and commentary. Goodbye.